This is my journey.
Before we finish up with the significance I promised you, let's recap just a bit. We've seen how we all have various emotional needs, and depending on how well we meet one need, well, we find the ability then to start working on the next one. So if we struggle to feel safe, it affects the identity that we find for ourselves, which in turn then affects, where we find acceptance and how functional our ultimate drive towards significance can be. Deficiencies at any point in the journey need fixing before we're going to feel good about where life takes us. Then we saw how finding significance based on what we can do yields disappointing results. If I'm valuable by my performance, the mantra of modern life in the Western world, then I lose value when my skills don't measure up or begin to diminish. Then we looked in a different place, hopefully a better place for significance. That was the place of belonging. And we saw the potential for relationships to give us a deeper and more meaningful sense of significance. But we also saw how that idea falls a bit short, especially for those who've been hurt or who see themselves as failures in the world of relationships. Go back to that painting illustration we talked about. Remember what gave the painting value? That's right, the painter. It was the artist who did all the work in creating the painting. Honestly, the painting didn't really do anything to prove its value at all. It just is. That's the real answer to the significance thing for you and me as well. We are valuable and significant not because of what we can do, but honestly because of who we belong to, and more specifically, even because of who made us. When we realize that God is the source of our existence, then it's His value that gives us our value. We are significant because of who He is. And whenever we find some of the abilities He gave us, then the fact that we can do that just adds to the beauty of what already is. And when we learn to see that same value in others and treasure them as a part of the beauty God has made, then relationships flourish and add even more beauty to our own lives. You see, without the underlying sense of being connected to God and His purpose, then all the weight of performance and relationships ends up on our shoulders. And a lot of us just can't make it work well enough. So we end up questioning whether or not our lives really matter. But if that question is answered before you even start, then the successes of our performance or the relationships that would only add to the joys of our lives, they don't define us. I realize that for most of our lives we've been taught that we are the result of some cosmic fender bender and random mutations of pond scum or something like that. Someday we'll take a journey through those scientific ideas of life, but we need to see that those ideas have left us with really little reason to believe that we're valuable or significant, apart from the name we could make for ourselves. We end up deciding that if the rest of the world decides we're valuable, then we can think we are too. But God already answered that issue for you and for me. So I can decide to take His word for it and answer this question of significance once and for all. And when I do, it's amazing how freeing that is. Suddenly I'm free to discover my strengths and to give my best to loving and being loved. And no one can tell me I don't matter because God's the final voice on that one anyway. And He says that I do. And those other needs we talked about? God wants to be your source on those too. He won't fail you even if everyone else does. He loves you. He knows what the very best identity is for you, and He offers you an acceptance that never rejects you, even when you struggle. You see, that's the bottom line. Significance is best invested in relationship, and a relationship with God is the one place that never fails to deliver the hope that you need. If you think it's time to start learning more about what God says about you, come inside this website and I'll show you more about what it means to find everything you need in what God offers to each of us. And by the way, thanks for walking this road with me. I don't know if it ended up where you expected, but I can't think of any place more powerful and life-changing than that place where you and I learn to connect with God meaning that He has for our lives. Hope to see you inside.